Yeah. Yeah, you guys will fill out that guest speaker form. I can't remember if I linked it in this week's module or this week's announcement. It should be in the module, but I don't think I put it in the announcement. So there's a guest speaker form. It's not anything too hard, but you're just gonna reflect on what you're gonna hear today. All right, you guys ready? All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Pooler. I almost said Dr. Jeff Pooler because I used that. Jeff Pooler is the Director of Personal Training at the YMCA. He's an SMSU alumni. He graduated from Exercise Science in 2019. And then prior to that, graduated from Alec Tech. Back then it was Alec Technical Institute. Now it's Alec Technical Community College.
And I was there with Alexander Technical and Community College.
Yeah, okay. So he had a two-year degree there and then a 4-year degree. So let's welcome Jeff.
Bear with me, I'm not a public speaker by any means. I am an introvert by nature, extrovert by trade. I say it all the time, I'm not good with speaking, so bear with me. But so I am the Director of Wellness and Personal Training at the YMCA here in town. The Director of Wellness side is actually new for me as of July, so. A little bit about me. I come from a smaller family. I was born and raised up in Glenwood, Minnesota. So went to Minnewaska Area High School there. That's my family. I do a lot of hunting and fishing, outdoor activities, that sort of stuff. And then that is my 4-year-old lab. His name is Brackley. So that's kind of my life. Pickleball. Anybody play pickleball? All right, there we go. Volleyball. Anybody play volleyball? Right. So I play a lot more sand volleyball than I do indoor volleyball, but volleyball and pickleball are kind of what I transitioned to after athletics. So I graduated from Alexandria Technical and Community College with an AAS degree in health and fitness specialist back in 2017. But before I went there, I actually came to SMSU to play football. That was 2012 to 2014. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was only here for football and just getting some classes done. And then I kind of fell into the dark side of things at college, you know, going out partying, having all the fun times. And wound up moving back home and going to Alec Tech, where I found a huge passion for personal training and just fitness in general for myself. Kind of flipped my life around that way. So that's where I developed my passion for training. And then came to SMSU in 2017 and graduated 2019. So with XI, Human Performance and Coaching. I have not used my coaching degree in the 5 years that I've been out of school. So if that tells you anything about personal training, my schedule is way too busy for it. So my career development, I started out in my hometown fitness center back in 2014 when I moved back home. Thankfully, she was a family friend of mine. And she kind of molded me into the position of operating the entire fitness center. So that was a huge boost to my career. And then I worked there all the way up until I left Alec Tech and came back down to Marshall. And so I started personal training with her. It wasn't anything crazy because I was so focused on my schoolwork and everything, but she did get me into personal training, group exercise classes, things like that. So personal training group classes, 2014 to present, I'm still doing all that stuff. When I moved to Marshall, I started out at the YMCA in 2017 as a part-time trainer, as I was going to school here. I was training in between classes, before classes, after classes. It was an all-day affair, so. From there, right before graduation, I actually got the offer to be the YMCA's first ever full-time personal trainer. So I took on that role as the full-time lead trainer in 2019, and I am still in that position today, so. Director of Wellness, like I said, was earlier this year in July. We had some shifting around of staff, and then I wound up taking over the entire fitness center of the YMCA, so. Okay, so when you think about personal trainer, what do you think of? I found this in the Cambridge Dictionary and I had to laugh at it. All it says is someone whose job is to help you become stronger and healthier by deciding which exercises you should do and showing you how to do them. That couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to personal training. Here is what personal training actually is.
Hold on, I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm gonna stop. Did any of you, I forgot to link the form you guys are filling out? Some of you find it? Okay, and if you didn't, don't worry about it, I'll help you later, but go ahead, sorry.
Personal training is building relationships. Matter of fact, anything you do exercise science wise. How many of you want to go on to be physical therapists? Okay, how many of you want to go on to be occupational therapists? Nobody? Okay, chiropractors. Okay. In those fields, you have to get to know your clientele. You have to build that relationship with them, to build the trust with them, so they want to keep coming back to you to do that job. It's the same exact thing with personal training. It's all about building relationships. My longest client I have held so far, I've been there for 7 years. She's been with me for 6.5. And she has told me time and time again that if I ever leave, she will not go find another personal trainer because of the relationship that we have. So another thing about personal training is understanding everyone is different. How many of you think you could go out and be a personal trainer right now? Nobody? Okay, good. There is a lot to personal training that is so misunderstood when you look at Instagram posts, you look at Facebook posts, YouTube, all this stuff. There is a lot more behind it. You cannot go out, you cannot train somebody like you would train yourself. If you're an athlete, well, you're an athlete, you're not gonna go out and train a 54-year-old lady like you would train yourself. So, creating programs based on needs and goals. What we do is we do a needs analysis, and this is athletes, general population, special population, all that stuff. And what we do in that needs analysis is we assess, okay, I'll just use an example of a client that I had. She was an equestrian. Do we know what an equestrian is? Okay, so she rides horses. And it's a little bit fancier than that, but I'll just put it at that. She rides horses. So we do a needs analysis to understand what she is missing in her training that she is going to need to help her become a better equestrian. So we create programs based on that, and then also properly conduct assessments and testing. If we do not conduct assessments and testing, we do not have a start point. Therefore, we cannot determine a endpoint as to when they've reached their goal or where they are at in reaching their goal. So understanding progression and regression. Somebody comes in, they're having a great day, everything's flowing smooth, your workout's going great. All of a sudden there's a little twinge in their shoulder. All right, so now we have to learn how to regress and understand how to regress and exercise. So that way we can continue with that workout, but also make sure we are paying attention to that injury. Somebody's having a bad day. Mental health is a huge thing. If somebody's having a bad day when they come in, they have a terrible day at work. And they're just tired, they're sluggish, they're tired, that changes your entire workout. So being able to change things on the fly is huge when it comes to day-to-day things with clients. And then the biggest, not the biggest thing, but a very, very important thing is effectively and safely teaching exercises. Safety, I would say, is my number one priority when it comes to things at the Y. I don't know why, but now I have to stick up signs that say, no Crocs, slides, or sandals when you're in the gym. Drives me nuts, but apparently people just don't understand that safety is the number one factor. I don't like filling out incident reports, and that's the last thing that I want to do with my day, so. All right, when it comes to personal training, when I first got started and I came to SMSU, I originally came back to SMSU because I wanted to go and get my CSCS, or Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, through the NSCA. I thought I wanted to work with athletes. I grew up playing sports all the way through high school and into college. But later on, I discovered, once I started working with general population, that was where I really found a passion for helping people. So when it comes to personal training, you have to understand where you're at. We're in Marshall, Minnesota. I just listed here, young families and seniors are a big part of our demographic here in this area. Yeah, you're gonna have some high school athletes, but more than likely, there's somebody else that's already training those individuals, or their high school coaches will not let them train anywhere else but the school. So you have those young families and seniors, so you have to then change how you train to better suit the market in your area or the demographic in your area, okay? My focus for myself is functional strength. I'm a big believer in longevity through exercise. So teaching people how to move their bodies while also incorporating strength into their daily routine is huge. I've had clients come to me, especially women clients, for some reason, there's just this myth out in the air that, oh, I shouldn't be strength training, I should only be doing cardio to lose weight. Wrong. And it's been, I had a client who went to a specialist, and her specialist praised her and wished that more people would do this. More people would do the functional strength stuff, because it is so important in longevity. And pushing their bodies a little bit further than they would by themselves, okay? There are my hours, 5 a.m. We open our doors at 5 a.m. I am there at 5 a.m. training clients. We have one other trainer on staff right now, and he is also there at 5 a.m. It's just part of the job. People coming in before work. So we're starting 5 a.m. I typically try to be done by 6 p.m. And that's with I would say I get about a 2-hour break in the middle of the day. And that's, again, based on when my clients can and cannot come in. So, and I have a wide range of clientele. The youngest that I am currently training is 11, oldest is 89. So, but you'd look at this 89-year-old and you would go, oh, he's probably only in his 70s. So there's no set number as to where I will and will not train. But I do train a very wide range of individuals. So any questions so far? No, go ahead. All right.
What is the wellness piece added to your job?
Get into that.
Oh, sorry, okay.
We'll get there. Certification. So what I've listed on the left-hand side there, that is just some of the top certifications that have been out there for certified personal trainers. ACSM is what you guys go, is that?
We will do both. We have one course that is ACSM prep and one's at the CSCS prep.
Yeah, but for CPT, like most of your books are ACSM, right? Because I know we were all NSCA at Alec Tech.
Oh, yeah, for the,
But
it's kind of both.
both? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so NSCA and ACSM, I would put them at the top of the list by far. There's a lot more things that you're going to learn through those. The other two down here, you can, actually any of these you can get without a degree. I wish that would change. It's very frustrating. But the prep work and the study time in those top two is going to be much greater. There's so many other certifications out there. You can go online, you can research all that stuff. So certifications that I have held, I do not hold all of these anymore. But the NSCA CPT, that is Certified Personal Trainer, I got that when I was going through Alec Tech. And I will say that was probably the most stressful test that I have ever done. It is timed. You are sitting in a room by yourself with a computer screen in front of you, and you have nothing around you. You cannot look at any sort of textbook, anything like that. So,
Did you get a piece of paper?
you
Did they
get one piece of paper.
Yeah, when I
One
took the
piece of paper.
CSCS, yeah, like they gave you a pencil and a piece of paper.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
because I looked at the statistics of that, and the CSCS pass rate is 38%. Now, that one, you do have to have your bachelor's degree to get, but this NSCA CPT, you do not. But I will say, it is a lot of study and prep work. That is what Alec Tech prepared us for, was that NSCA CPT. They have so many more out there. They have a tactical training, they have a special population training. I can't even remember, there's so many certifications.
Yeah, both ACSM and NSC now, they have, I feel like they almost have too many certifications.
Yeah,
Cancer specialist, NSC actually now has a special population.
yep, that's the one, yep,
Yeah.
I just saw that one, so. The other ones that I've had are the Certified Functional Strength and Conditioning Specialist, that is that CFSC. Took that one when COVID hit. It's one of those deals where I looked at it as, did I need this one? I'm already certified through the NSCA. There's not a whole lot more information that I can't go online and research myself to prepare myself for something like that. And then back when I was actually looking at getting my CSCS, I decided to go and get the USAW level 1 certification. So what that opened me up to was teaching Olympic lifts. So the clean and jerk and the snatch. That was actually a really good training. But afterwards, there again, it was, once you learn these things, you can still teach them as a certified personal trainer. You just have to be confident in yourself when it comes to that. And then the other one, this is, you guys still do FMS here?
Yeah, we just did it again this morning, yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So functional movement screening, these guys probably aren't in that yet.
Nope.
No, that'll be a couple years. Once you guys get to fitness assessment class or your course, FMS is a very good screening to do for individuals. It gives you a lot of raw numbers as far as how well an individual can move. So FMS was one that we got certified in over at the Y. So we have those tools there available to us. So. Continuing education units, these are called continuing education units, or I do believe continuing education credits, depending on what organization you are going through. They're important for recertification. You can get these through conferences, online trainings, and then also they do some quick online quizzes that you can sign in and do a quiz on. But you can only do so many. For the NSCA, you can only do so many of a certain type. That's where conferences come in big, but conferences do get expensive. So this is not I get certified, I'm done deal, I can be certified forever. This is, you must put your time, money, and effort into getting recertified. Always be researching and learning. That is one of the biggest things when it comes to personal training. There's so much information out there. And when I say researching and learning, don't go to Instagram. Please don't go to Instagram. I'm sure you've all seen those stupid fail videos that people have. And there's so much garbage out there, it's unbelievable. Go to a accredited source for your information. There's so many strength coaches out there that are legit strength coaches that have podcasts, they have online articles. And then another way to learn is simulation. Get a buddy, go practice on each other, teaching each other exercise. There's one thing we did at Alec Tech that it was phenomenal. Every day, no matter what class it was, whether it was practicing blood pressure, practicing how to cue a squat, practicing how to cue a landmine row, anything like that, it just helps you learn to cue and teach exercise. And then shadowing. Any of you ever decide you want to get some shadow hours in? You guys have to do practicum hours eventually?
They have to shadow for this class,
Okay,
$6, right? Probably no,
don't forget,
just a couple.
don't forget. Shadowing hours are great. Go in, meet with a professional who's in the field and ask about shadowing. I'm always open to shadowing, so if this is something you want to check out and shadow, get some hours for, I'll show you my whole process throughout my whole day. Now, am I saying you have to come in at 5 AM? No. Should you come in at 5 AM? Yeah. But shadowing is important to learning. And this is huge. Actually, I just had a discussion with Derek about this yesterday, not because of Derek, but because of another individual who had some words to say to us, so. But scope of practice, anybody understand what scope of practice means? College, I love college. Alright, the range of activities that a health professional is permitted to perform based on their education, training, and experience. So what that means is, yes, I am a certified personal trainer. Yes, I have a very good knowledge and background in exercise science. But if somebody comes to me and like, yeah, I got this clicking going on with my knee, I am not able to sit there and say, that's your meniscus, we'll be fine. I say, go in, get it checked out before we continue any sort of training. Also, another big one with personal training is people think that we can just give them nutrition advice. I can give you very basic information. I cannot tell you what to eat, how to eat, anything like that. That is for a nutritionist or a dietitian to determine. That is not within my scope of practice to give that information to an individual. And we're all adults here. CYA, anybody know what that stands for? Cover your ass. It is huge. You do not want to leave any stones unturned when it comes to covering yourself. I think coming up here, I'll get into the paperwork side of things. So, but scope of practice, practice within your means, but do not think that you are the next doctor, okay? Unless you become a doctor, great for you. So director of wellness and personal training, what that puts me at is fitness desk staff. I'm in charge of the fitness desk staff. I'm also in charge of maintenance of equipment, and then ordering of supplies, equipment, facility design and layout. That's actually probably my favorite part, is design and layout. I really enjoy that. And then member engagement and assistance. Okay, so with that, I kind of I do fitness orientations, show people how to use equipment, and just some basic exercises, nothing crazy. They can sign up with me for personal training if they want to learn more. And then managing of files and paperwork. Here is the fun paperwork side of things. This is where the CYA comes into play, okay? If you do not have these things signed, get ready for a lawsuit. You must have yourself covered at all costs, whether it is as simple as, so here's our personal training guidelines. All that is stating that is, if they show up late or if they do not show without notice, that I can charge them a session. So when they come to me and say, well, why am I out of sessions? Well, you didn't show up, you never notified me, so you lose a session, you sign that agreement. So they cannot come back and try and get a refund from me for that reason. But when we talk about this, we look at the waiver of liability, stating that they understand that there is a risk to injury. Now, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that everything is done safely and effectively. But I cannot guarantee that they might step off of a platform rung and roll their ankle. I can't make that guarantee, that's on them. So that's why we have everything signed and documented. We keep a hard copy and then we also keep an e-copy inside of our files. So that is the fun stuff that I get to manage. And also the fun stuff that I get to pull out when people try to make an argument with me, so. Facility design, here we are moving some equipment. It looks much different than in that picture now. And then actually my biggest project recently is we just started a capital campaign to completely redesign our entire fitness center. And so that was mostly my doing. There was a little bit of input from other people, but I took the head of that and really went, I wouldn't say went crazy, but I had a lot of fun plugging in pieces. So there I am. That was last year's social event. I'm explaining what we're doing, what we're adding, or hoping to add to our facility to make it flow, make it new, make it updated. So. That's it. Outside of. Any questions? Oh, jeez.
Do you feel like you're fairly compensated for the work you do?
So that's a great question, actually. So the YMCA is a nonprofit organization. That is one thing when you are in the market for a job to be on the look for. Myself, I necessarily wasn't in it for the money as much as the benefits. To working at a YMCA and a nonprofit, YMCA benefits are phenomenal. Outside of that, yes, could I be compensated more? Absolutely. There again, though, it all depends on where you're at. Are you here in Marshall or are you down in the Twin Cities? There's a huge separation of pay scale when you look at that. Sioux Falls is another example. We'll just move to Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is another example. It's a huge growing community. Marshall hasn't grown a whole lot. Where are we sitting? 14, 15,000, something like that. But you go to Sioux Falls and you're looking at 250,000. Okay, so there's a huge separation there. That's one thing. If you are looking at doing any sort of personal training, you have to look into that if that's what you're really looking at as far as pay, so.
And you gotta compare cost of living,
Absolutely.
because we have graduates that are working for lifetime in the Twin Cities making maybe 60, 70,000, but their rent is.
Yep.
Double what you pay, triple, I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Sioux Falls, I mean, yeah, he has one of our alumni, he just moved, he works for Great Life, and I'm gonna suspect his rent is probably double what he paid when he was here. So you have to weigh all those.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I actually got approached by someone saying, oh, you should move to, I can't remember if it was Plymouth or something, and do training there. And I'm like, why? Well, you make way more. Not really. Gotta weigh up cost of living. And then also it puts me further away from the things that I love to do. So hunting and fishing in the outdoors and family puts me further away from that. So that's kind of where I weigh it all out at, so.
What would you say, so you were talking about benefits.
Yeah.
So the first thing is the YMCA benefits, so talk a little bit about, because we talk a lot about, okay, you get so much an hour, but a third of your salary is your benefits.
Yeah.
Like extra.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you knew that was such an important thing to you.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know right now yet about the cost of health insurance, because you probably don't have your parents' health insurance yet. I was until the age of 26, and next thing you know, I looked at health insurance, I was like, huh, that's expensive. Working for the YMCA, I think I pay roughly, right now, roughly $100 a month for my health insurance.
Shut the front door.
That's beautiful. Might be a little more.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so half of that comes out of each paycheck, so. But then I also received dental, eye care is extra, but, And then I have 6 weeks of PTO. But here's the thing, with personal training, I touch maybe 3 of that. Because of how my schedule rolls out. Like I leave, next Friday, I leave for 10 days. While I'm gone for 6 days of work, I have to then make up those sessions with my clients. Because most of my clients are on what we call EFT or electronic funds transfer. So they pay monthly. So I can't just skip out on their workouts, so I have to make that up. So the PTO thing is nice. Like last year I went to Alaska for 2 weeks with my family, so it was great for that because I get 2 weeks of PTO. I got paid to go to Alaska, so that was kind of cool. But outside of that, you know, benefits are phenomenal out of Y once you get into the full-time status. And then I look at our retirement. The Y puts up to, or puts 8% into a retirement fund for me. I don't have to contribute anything to that. I can, but I don't have to contribute anything to that. They put 8% of my every paycheck into that. So there's another huge benefit. So.
And then talk about the benefit of, so you touched a little on the nonprofit, but is that a philosophy? Or the whole, I work at a nonprofit, is that one of the things behind a philosophy, why you like to work there, or you're just stating that?
No,
Okay,
that's the YMCA is a nonprofit
Right,
organization, so.
right. But if that's something you believe in, you know, some people really
Yeah,
believe in
yeah,
philanthropy, we call it, like in my role as a physical therapist, I need to give back, so pro bono work or whatever you wanna call it. And so for some people, that's a really important thing.
and I guess I do look at it from that aspect. I talked about earlier, fitness was kind of my out for a lot of things in life. And so that's where I didn't care about the money when they asked me to be full-time. I cared about helping others in their life, so that's kind of part of the reason why I'm still here. I've been here for 7 years. If it was for the money, I'd be long gone. I would have been long gone the year I graduated. So it's not for the money for me. It's all about helping that next individual. So you never know what somebody's going through, and you can be that difference maker in any aspect of this field: physical therapy, occupational therapy, chiropractic. So, yeah.
You
Yes,
said you had to do continuing education for your recertification. How often do you have to get recertified?
NSCA is every 2 years. Yeah, every 2 years is recertification. So you have to get so many CEUs within those 2 years to get technically recertified. So.
Most of your certifications are every 2 years,
Mhm.
and they make it really easy, like the NSCA.
Yeah.
So I have my CS, and every month they have free CEUs, you can
Yep.
go to a class, you can pay, but they try to really help you out. And like Jeff said, that's the other thing, I'm glad you pointed that out, some people think I need to have this long laundry list of certifications, you really don't. Because A, they're expensive, and B, you have to have continuing education for every certification, pretty much.
Yeah, and that costs money.
And that
depending on
costs
what
money.
you get. I'll just say some of the, let's see here. If I look at that ISSA and the NASM one, those alone are $1,000. Well, just under $1,000 to get those certifications. Now, when you look at the NSCA, for the test, it's like $350, but that's not including your study materials. But yeah, there's a cost to all of this stuff, so you have to weigh your options as far as how many certifications do I really want to hold and how many certifications do I really want to try and keep up with? Because not all continuing education units are going to work for all certifications. There are, yes, organizations that won't approve this one, but they will approve this one, so it comes down to a big cost factor in the long run if you're trying to determine what you want to do with that, so.
So it's something that you would do for like strength training with that 89-year-old person.
Strength training with that 89-year-old person?
Yeah.
We're pulling
Deadlifts.
Oh, yeah, deadlifts all the way, making sure that when they leave, they can't walk. No, bands, many people neglect using strength bands. I love using strength bands, but especially with my older adult populations. Because it is a varying resistance as you pull it. I also use a lot of our machines that we have. We have selectorized equipment out on the floor. I use a lot of that because it is very difficult for them to potentially injure themselves, but it's also easy for me to assist them during that exercise. So, and this 89-year-old individual is coming off of a knee replacement. So we're also focusing on that. He's currently in physical therapy, working on his range of motion. And then they gave me some ideas of what to do to help increase his range of motion as well, so.
That's awesome, because that's a big goal that we want to make sure that our exercise science majors are knowledgeable enough, and we do a lot of that in the community. That, so for me, like, if I had that patient, maybe their insurance will let me have 6 visits, which is nothing. So then I may say, okay, I'm gonna see you once every 2 weeks, and then I know Jeff is knowledgeable enough, he's gonna carry out a really good strength program, range of motion, whatever. And then they come back and then I do what I need to do. So having that collaboration is huge.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if one of you was gonna raise your hand to like, do you think you could personal train today? I was gonna throw an example client at you. This is an example. 57-year-old Dolores just came off of cardiac rehab. She completed her rehab. Doctor said she's good to go for personal training. What's my next step? Well, I'm gonna get in touch with whoever she was meeting with before, so that way I can learn. Those are the scenarios that you're gonna run into with personal training. And it's, at first you look at it and you're like, I don't think I can do this. But all it takes is the research and learning part, continuing to want to learn. And then also being in touch with the other professionals that are involved with the scenario. So it helps a lot, so.
What other questions do you guys have? Pick this guy's brain, he's really smart.
That can be. I'm not really smart.
What's your, in your career, how long did you say you've been at the Y, 7 years?
7 years at the Y, I've been personal training for 10.
10 years, so you've been doing this for 10 years, what was your most rewarding client that you can think of off the top of your head? That you're like, God, I know, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Oh, geez.
You probably have a bunch, but.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one. You know, it's actually my longest client that I've worked with. 74-year-old lady. I've been working with her for 6.5 years now. But every day she comes in, she just keeps reminding me, I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that I do at home. Because they're very independent, her and her husband are very independent, live out in the country. Carrying buckets of rock, carrying hoses, she goes, I would never think of doing this at 74, but every time she comes in for training, she reminds me that that's why she's doing it, so.
Awesome. And Jeff came in like 99% of exercise majors, I'm gonna train athletes, I wanna do sports, that's all I wanna do, I don't like working with old people, things like that, and I would say 75 to 80% of students like Jeff end up really falling in love with Gen Pop. They still do sports, but that functional training, that foundational movements, that's what you end up loving,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. Athletes can be difficult. How many of you are in here are athletes? How many of you can be difficult? Don't lie.
Don't lie.
Don't lie, you can be difficult, you can be a pain to work with. You just may not think it, but your coaches are sitting in the background swearing at you, so. Athletes can be very difficult to work with, especially young high school athletes. And to be honest, I just pass those on to Derek. So here you go, Derek, you have fun.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's working with a lot of the hockey girls in town.
Yeah.
So, and softball girls, so, but he's been great for that because we never had really athletes coming in.
Yeah,
But-
that's awesome.
So.
Yeah. Brian,
So when you said you're like starting to redesign the facility, what was your thought process and what was the steps that took you to?
So we were approached by some board members of like, they came up and asked, what do you think about redesigning the facility up here? And I was like, that'd be great. Where are we getting the money from, first of all? It's a lot of money. We're looking at $300,000 worth of redesign. That's all cardio, all strength, and then taking out the carpet in the weight room section and making that all rubber flooring. But yeah, so I was approached by a board member about it. And he goes, why don't you start designing what you think? And I had it done in 10 minutes. I've been thinking about it for 7 years. It drives me nuts the way it looks now. Everything is misplaced, like there's old equipment, there's new equipment. It's just a jungle gym right now. So I took that on right away and got that layout made for him. And then he goes, all right, now I'll start pricing out equipment. It's like, that's easy enough. Just started pricing out all the equipment and then had to price out what we could sell our current equipment for. Did that. And then we took it to our board because YMCA has a board that we have to go through for all those big things like that. And then we created a steering committee, which then brought us into this capital campaign that we just started. I think we started the steering committee back in February of last year. And then now we're really rolling with the campaign.
So you have it approved to start?
We have it approved to start fundraising. So this is all a huge fundraising process for us. And we're looking at fundraising $750,000 because this is not just a capital campaign for the fitness center, but it is also for an indoor playground. Because like I said, we have a lot of young families. So that's a target market we're really trying to approach with that indoor playground, especially Marshall winters. They suck. So bringing people in for that, but then also deferred maintenance, which is the ugly side of operating a huge building. So which is our AC units, our boilers, pool stuff, everything like that. So yeah, it's an overall project. My side is all the fitness center.
So as a personal trainer who's been out there for 10 years, can you give these freshmen / sophomores some advice?
Don't think you know everything. I promise you, you do not. I have moments where I'm like, oh, I know how to do that. And then I'm looking at my other trainer, who's also SMSU grad here, Derek. And I'm like, I need help. Like it's, if you ever decide to train and you're at a gym and everybody thinks they're better than everybody else, you're in the wrong facility. You should probably leave. It should operate as a team. You should help each other out. There's so much information out there on training, anything exercise science related. There's so much information. So that's where that never quit researching and learning comes into play. So
Lifelong learners.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about what were some, so you talked about shadowing, but what were some things you did while you were here that maybe helped you in your career? Or if you could look back at the Jeff back in 2017, if I would have done something different, what would it be?
if I would have done something different.
You were pretty focused by the time you got here though, so.
Yeah, when I got here, I forget, she wasn't my advisor, but I had to go see her because my GPA was really lovely from when I left SMSU. But after my first semester here, she goes, why are you coming to see me? I had a 4.0 my first semester back. And she goes, what? I said, yeah, well, I guess that's what happens when you find what you're passionate about. So, yeah, just don't do stupid stuff, focus on school. I mean, not saying you can't have fun, I get it, it's fun, but be smart. So.
What were some things you did that you feel helped you in your career?
Things that helped me in my career?
Probably getting the job at the Y, I'm gonna guess.
That was huge, that was a huge step, actually. Here's a little interesting fact, when I started at the Y, we had 5 trainers on staff, part-time trainers. We were making $14,000 a year as an entire program. We are currently making $85,000 with 2 trainers. So that tells you what happens when you flip into dedicated trainers. So.
And you kind of had to sell it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to sell it big time.
Big time. So the YMCA is a community organization, so personal training is just one piece.
Mhm.
But I remember that when you guys started there, not that the CEO wasn't, but you had to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we really had to make it known as to why it's important to have those individuals that are here for a long time, and it falls back to that relationship piece. That's the biggest thing, that's why we have grown our program, is because of relationships, so.
anything else?
Bored enough yet? Ready to go?
Thank
home?
you so much, Jeff.
No problem.
Hang on just a second, I'm just gonna shut off Zoom.